Episode 3 of Your Trip is Short. It's Eric Lucier. One of these days, I suppose I'll do this more radio proper and perhaps do a little bit of back selling after I'm done playing some music. But for the time being, really just trying to figure out the Anchor and Spotify system here and get some words out there, as well as get some, more importantly, great music out there. Definitely was one of the factors I saw when this integration between Anchor and Spotify was released was, right, now it's time to actually talk a little bit and get some music out there. And as I've already mentioned on the first 2 episodes, this is really why I was holding off not doing a podcast for all those years. It seemed to make no sense to just be a talking head. There's so many out there and some great voices, no doubt about it, but a lot of just unnecessary blubber as well. And I didn't want to have yet another voice out there. I've already, as I mentioned, had a couple of podcasts out, but they're too few and far between, and they were really missing that component of music, which is something that has tied me to sanity over the years, especially this year. Tied me to friends, tied me to my social environments, tied me to meeting new people. I can't fathom what my life would be without new music. And when I started getting involved with Spotify, whatever it was, 7-8 years ago, it was like going to a library without a card catalog or an idea what you wanted to read. You just poked around and hoped you found something. And I remember putting out some messages into the universe where I was basically just looking for some music suggestions, because the sky was the limit. Supposedly everything that was out there was really publicly available in Spotify, and difficult to get a response. Trying to get anything out of social media sometimes, we say this on Twitter a lot, it's like drinking from a fire hose. If you don't fine-tune that stream, forget about it. And if you've seen the movie UHF with Weird Al Yankovic and a young Michael Richards, a.k.a. Kramer from Seinfeld, there is a really good segment about drinking from a fire hose. And needless to say, it doesn't work really well. This is where lists work great within Twitter. But if you try to absorb the content in Twitter and across all social mediums without a perspective or without going at it with a fine-tooth comb or a magnifying glass, you're going to get really, really lost very quickly. And rarely do I go to engage, and that's something that I should do more of. I'm really trying to do a better effort of having meaningful conversations more often nowadays. And I'm doing my darn best to have more impactful moments with more important people. And if you've heard from me or if we've hung out lately, you are part of that circle. So your trip is short, and I've really discovered that. Any day it's time to go. Your trip's over. And there's no time for regrets, no time for remorse. Because when it's time to go, you're not going to have that last call, like 1:45 here in the bars, where you can get one more beer. It's just time to go. So I've really lived my life to its fullest potential as I've seen it lately, and I'm going to get better and better at doing it more. I mentioned I've just kind of reinvented or invented myself here in 2020, dropped the filter, increased the fun, increased the feeling that I've regretted something or I will regret something. FOMO was a little bit of a thing, but that expression is kind of weird, passé, in my opinion. You can FOMO a new piece of technology being dropped, but regret is something that I no longer want to have as part of my life. That's why I really just latched onto Your Trip is Short real recently, within the last week, and have really turned over some leaves as of late, and have had some great times. Just going back to Thursday of last week. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So bear with me. I'm still feeling this out. Probably won't end up doing any back selling or really thinking too hard about what I'm talking about for the foreseeable future, because I'm just opening up the mic and going. And it's really to get to that pause where I can start playing some music, start sharing some music, and turn that portion of the podcast over to you. I'm not even thinking of it as a podcast anymore. Now it's more of a true broadcast. You're just getting it in podcast form. Unfortunately, you do need the Spotify Premium to hear all the songs, but as I mentioned, I can't imagine now living without my Spotify Premium. At one point in time, that was without my tapes, then it was without my CDs, then it was without my iPod. Now, just like it's can't imagine going by day to day without a device, it's going by day to day without having Spotify, because at any given time, if I think of a song and I want to hear it, I can grab it and press play. So I will admit the interface between Anchor and Spotify is a little clunky. If you're looking to take on one of these for yourself, you really need to know what you're looking for, because unfortunately in the search parameters, it only returns a handful of results if you search for an artist name. But if you search for a band name, you may find more results, but then again, you may get washed with results that sound like it or look like it or a duplicate of it. So you really need to go into it with a couple of different search parameters and find what you're looking for. So there's a little bit of digging that you have to do, but hopefully the end result is there. So I'm going to feature two bands on this episode of Your Trip is Short, episode 3, that I saw together for the first time. One I had been following for years due to a buddy that turned me on to them, and that's the Record Company out of Los Angeles. They are an incredible blues rock power trio that I was introduced to real young in their infancy, if you will, because of a friend in the industry that knew of them and tried to sign them on as a manager, actually. And the Record Company dropped, and they basically got nominated for Record of the Year, Blues or Rock Record of the Year, right in year one. Just very, very powerful rock trio stuff. Love the stuff that these guys do. Encourage you to check them out. So I'll be playing some tracks here from the Record Company. And then in one of the true great opening band that I've seen over the years is the band that opened for the Record Company on this tour stop at Higher Ground 3 or so years ago. And that's Smooth Hound Smith out of Nashville. Zach and Caitlin are husband and wife duo that at times expand into a full band, but when I fell in love with them, they were just a duo. And what Zach does live as a one-man band is incredible. Basically playing a kick drum and a hi-hat with his feet, and then playing guitar and some harmonica and singing. And the percussion and vocals that his wife Caitlin offer are second to none. Seeing them live in person and the amount of music that they can create, just the two of them, you really have to see to believe. I think everyone there at Higher Ground that night went in to see went in to see the Record Company, and were all, much like myself, completely blown away by what Smooth Hound Smith did as an opener. So they've released an album in the last year or so. I'm going to feature a tune from there, but I'm going to focus on some of their first two releases and give you an idea of what they were really doing at the time. And then I'll go into two record official releases from the Record Company, as well as some EP releases. They've done some great cover songs, including So What You Want from the Beastie Boys and New Speedway Boogie from the Grateful Dead, that really deserve a listen, and maybe I'll slide at least one of those in here. So I hope you enjoy. We're wrapping up episode 3, at least the talking portion of Your Trip is Short. I'm Eric Lucier. Please reach out. yourtripishort2020@gmail.com. Tell your friends. Please spread the word, and I hope you enjoy. It's the Record Company and Smooth Hound Smith on Your Trip is Short.